Hey there, Michelle. How's it going today?
Hey, good, Lindsay. How are you?
Good. Michelle, did you get scolded a lot when you were a kid? Did your parents or teachers
Mm,
maybe scold you?
I don't think really. I was a little bit of a rule follower, so I think I didn't get scolded that much. But of course, every kid does, right? There has to be something. What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, same here. I was a pretty good kid. Occasionally I would get in trouble, but when I did, I felt so bad,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
felt so
Yep.
bad. I think I got detention once and I just like was so mortified. It was not a place for me to be in detention. So yeah, not good.
That's
So
funny.
anyways, Michelle, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so we are going to talk about a common, well, actually not that common, but it's common in this context when you're scolding someone or questioning someone.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to talk about why you would use this on this episode. But the construction is have you know X. Okay.
Ooh, I love this. Yes, tell us more,
Yes.
Michelle.
Well, this came up in my real life because my son was probably I can't remember exactly what he's doing, but I think it probably involved eating a lot of dessert. And I think I said to him, "Have you no self-control?" like as a joke. And of course he didn't understand what I'm
Yeah, he doesn't know
but
what self-control is.
yes, but I thought there's an episode.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, I mean, have you heard this kind of construction before?
Yes, it definitely sounds like something I've heard, especially coupled with "Have you no shame?" Right? And it's
Exactly.
it's kind of a creative way of saying something. I envision this being used by, like, grandmothers to their grandkids. I don't know
Right.
why. It just feels like a little bit of an older phrase or a more creative way to say this.
Yes.
So, yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna talk about this today. It's not super, super common, but I think it's definitely worth an episode, definitely worth learning what it is, because if you
Yeah.
hear it, it could be a little confusing, right?
Yeah, and it's good for our listeners to have these creative tools in their toolboxes, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
sometimes we might pull this out maybe on the IELTS exam. Who knows? Maybe there's I mean, this is generally a back and forth connection phrase, and the IELTS exam is more
Mhm.
you speaking at the examiner, really.
Mhm.
But there could be a lot of places where we want to drop something really unique and creative, and this would be something you could do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to hit the follow button wherever you're
Mhm.
listening to the All Ears English podcast so you never miss anything from us.
Yeah, so we might hear this in movies or maybe as a joke, Michelle.
Mhm.
Anywhere else we might hear it. Do you agree with what I said? A grandmother scolding their grandkids.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah,
feel
I
right?
do.
Okay. I don't even know
I
why.
do.
It's just yeah.
Right. Maybe movies as a joke, whatever it is. So with my son, I was not really being serious. I was kind of jabbing at him, maybe just trying to make a joke that why would he get it because he's 6. But
Yeah.
it just kind of made me laugh because I was thinking, have you no self-control? Just
Yeah.
as, a little funny thing, maybe a little joke to myself. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's a very interesting construction. I mean, Lindsay, we're really talking about this. Now we're going to go for have you no shame, because
Yeah.
you mentioned that when you think of have you know, I think most people would think to put shame there.
Yeah, for sure. It's the most common use of this construction. And I like what
Right.
you said, making a joke to yourself. I think when you choose to use this construction, it's saying more about you as the speaker than it is about the other person. It's saying
Right.
that you want to say something unique and you want to kind of
Right.
create a platform a little bit. It's quite a unique delivery. Um,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
it, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes we do things just for ourselves in a
Oh
way.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanna entertain yourself. But what does this mean, have you no shame? What is this
Yeah.
construction really saying? If we were to
It
put it, what would make sense real to
it's basically saying you're doing something bad and don't you care that you're doing something bad, right? Like, don't
right.
you have any shame about what you're doing right now? You're on, you're like doing something. Usually it's lighter things, right?
Right.
It's not very heavy, serious things. Um,
Right. So if
yeah,
you were supposed if the a normal a typical construction might be don't you have any, but
yes,
we're making it have you know. And it's kind
yes.
of I think when this is used, it's kind of a rhetorical question, don't you think,
Hmm.
Lindsay? I mean,
Yeah.
Lindsay, what is a rhetorical question? Oh, we could do a whole episode on
Sure.
rhetorical
And
question.
we should. Yeah.
Rhetorical.
It's just basically a question that's not looking for an answer. It's more
Yeah.
a question as a statement. Okay. So
Yes.
when someone asks you a rhetorical question, they're not expecting you to respond. Okay.
Right, right. I'm not saying, "Have you no shame?" "Oh, I don't know, maybe I have a little shame." Right? It's not asking for a response.
Yeah.
I'm basically saying, "It seems
Yeah.
I'm observing it that you don't seem to have any shame."
Yes. Yes. And what you're doing is shameful, whatever it is. So,
Right.
yeah, really rare, but creative and fun when you do hear it for sure.
Right. It's just saying, right, like, "How are you not embarrassed by this?"
Right.
That type of thing. So this is just really kind of fun to use. Let's do a couple other examples. So
Yeah.
let's say I offer Lindsay coffee at my house and she asks for a sugar. And then we open up my cabinet and I have 300 sugar packets taken from a restaurant. Right?
Right. It's this kind of thing. It's like stealing from a hotel towels or things like
Right.
that, right? That you really shouldn't do. And like, then someone might call you out for it in
Right,
this kind of thing.
yes, this is
Yeah.
calling someone out.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to explain this. So, if I open up and you see I have this whole drawer full of all these sugar packets I've stolen, what
And
could
they
you
all have
say?
like the branding of the restaurants on them,
Right,
right? Of
right,
course.
right, right. And you
I
could
would say
say
I would say, "My goodness, Michelle, have you no shame?"
right.
Right? So, it's also in the delivery. There has to be some real energy in your voice there, right?
Yes, right,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't say, "Have you no shame," right? You
Yeah.
have to have that energy, or let's say you tell me that you have 4 overdue library books that you have to
Yeah.
return,
Yeah.
and I
No,
could
that's
joke yeah, I could joke to you and say, "Have you no shame, Lindsay? Return them on time."
that's another good example. So, it's kind of these little transgressions, right, that you really shouldn't do, but it's not like we're talking about huge offenses, right?
Right, right.
And your friend's gonna call you out on it, and it's gonna be kind of a fun back and forth because they're surprised or they're a little offended by it, but not in a deep way, right?
Well, I have a more
Okay,
serious one though
okay,
coming up.
we're
So
gonna
those
get
are kind of
it.
cute, but I mean, it could be more serious. So let's say a couple
Mhm.
is fighting because one of
Mm.
them saw the other flirting at a party. So
Ooh.
seriously, they could say, "Have you no shame? Don't you see I'm right there?"
Oh,
That
yeah,
was my
and that could
acting
be
skills.
ooh, wow, sounded emotional, Michelle.
Yes,
It's
I
good.
know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so it could veer into the more, initiating more of a fight, more of a serious emotional thing going on.
Mhm.
So there are kind of 2 potential scenarios there,
Well, and
right?
we hope more so that in your life you'll be using the first one.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All right, Michelle, we are back. So, Michelle, do you use this construction?
Well, I brought it here because I did use it, but again, I wouldn't say that it's something, this isn't something that you're going to use all the time.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you're just going to several times a day. This is just for once in a while. And this is not something you should pressure yourself to use.
No,
It's
no.
just if you're interested in adding a little something fun to your repertoire, it does show a little personality, which can be good. So not something totally immediate for you to add in, but if you're someone who likes to experiment with these kinds of constructions and these little changes, go for it.
For sure. I mean, so the places where we use this are more rhetorical questions, saying when you've observed someone that's doing something that's not really right and you want to call them out, right?
Mhm, mhm, yeah. So, yeah, or yeah, like accusing them of someone of something, or it could be in that playful way or in the serious way.
Hmm.
But it's not. You can't just stick any word
Right.
in there, right? It can't
Yeah.
just be, "Have you no almonds?" It can't it doesn't.
Right. No, no, no. That doesn't mean the same thing, right? Yeah, we can't put just a noun in there. It's really just shame and then, maybe self-control. It's really
Right.
about this person has done something wrong.
Yeah.
And you're gonna let them know they have, and you're gonna let them know that you're a little offended, but in a bit of an animated way. So you can't say,
Right.
"Have you no almonds? Have you no pillows?" It doesn't
Right,
work.
right. "Have you no pillows?" Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work in that way. So some things you might hear would be something like self-control, like what I said to my son, or what
Mhm.
about morals?
Have you no morals?
Have
Yeah, I
you
think
no
that totally
morals,
works.
right? Same
Again,
idea.
it comes back to this kind of value judgment zone, right?
Yes.
Where someone has kind of broken an unwritten rule or maybe a written rule and you don't think it's okay, but you also don't want to get so serious and saying, you shouldn't have done that, right?
Right,
Because that can get a
right.
little too heavy. for some scenarios.
Right. You'd show
Sugar, I
your
mean, it's sugar. Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? Sit down and lecture me about sugar? It's too
Right.
much. It's too much.
Exactly, exactly. So should we do a role play?
Yeah. So here we're friends, and I am telling you about a shopping spree that I just went on. Ooh. Wow.
Okay. Here
All
we
right.
go.
So I went on a shopping spree and I went a little overboard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I bought not one, not two, not three, not four, but five new purses.
Lindsay,
I know.
have you no shame?
Well, it was Black Friday. I couldn't help myself.
I get it, but 5 purses? Have you no self-control?
I was weak. Oh, geez. What a mess. Oh, my gosh. Five purses. That's a lot. That is a
How
lot.
many purses would you say you own? I have a feeling
Well,
you're
I don't
like
really
me.
own any purses right now.
I think I
I
have like 3. Basically, I get cheap ones, and then when I make them gross enough by just throwing stuff in, and then eventually
Yeah.
I just clean them out, and then I might have to get rid of them.
Oh, no. I actually have a fanny pack. I guess the fanny pack is
Ah,
the modern purse for my style. So fanny
yes,
packs are back.
they
They were
are.
hot in the 1980s. I remember my Aunt Sheila used to wear them, and I used to think they were so nerdy, but they're back and they're cool
They
now.
are.
So,
They
yeah.
are. They are.
All right, so let's go through this role play, Michelle. Basically, I bought five purses on Black Friday, and you're saying, "Have you no shame?"
Yes. Yes,
Right?
exactly. So you're saying it was Black Friday, couldn't help myself, and I said, "I get it, but 5 purses? Have you no self-control?"
Yeah,
So I may not use it again, right? Like
yeah,
that way. I just did it for the role play, but again, we don't want to use it all the time. So
yeah,
I could have, but I
yeah.
could have also said, "Don't you have any self-control?"
Right, exactly, exactly, and
Discussion.
yeah, and this is another example. So this is not like I've committed some kind of transgression, but it's more like it's a self control thing, right? It's kind of crazy to buy five purses, sort of, by some people's definition, right? So
Right.
there you go, Michelle. Is there another episode we could check out?
Yes, let's check out. Guys, take a look at episode 2343. That was how to say that two people don't mix well in English.
Love that. And where should we leave our listeners? This has been a very creative phrase to bring in today to add a lot of personality. And again, at the
Yeah.
beginning, Michelle, by the way, we said that you might hear this from a grandmother scolding their grandchild, but it's not just for grandparents to use,
No.
right? Okay.
No, no, no. You can do it, but you kind of just have to do it with a little bit of a jokey tone. But again, of course, if it's the serious one, don't use the jokey tone.
Right, right. That's veering into that's like the opening of a bigger fight. Like with the couple, someone was
Yeah.
flirting,
Yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
serious emotional thing. But
Yeah.
most of the time, I would say if you try to veer towards this area of kind of teasing someone, there's a little teasing going on too
Right.
under the yeah.
Exactly. I'm just making and maybe with the sugar example, maybe you're known for this. Maybe, yeah,
Mhm.
like you said, maybe you come back with all the soap from the hotel. Like, and so
Yeah.
I'm just calling you out. I think it comes back to calling people out on maybe their
Yes.
quirks.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it
Quirks.
can actually say that it can actually show that you know someone really well when you use this.
Oh, well, and that's a good point. I wouldn't really use this if you don't know the person well.
Right.
Right. If you, for
Yeah, you
example, if
gotta
you
have a good relationship with them to use this.
yeah, like if your boss invites you and your partner to dinner with them, and then, you don't know them very well, and it's a very formal relationship, but you find out that the boss's partner is stealing sugars, I would not use that in that case.
Right. Right, exactly. It shows how well you know someone.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah,
100%.
give it a try if you feel comfortable, but now you know why you might hear that funny kinda construction.
Good to know. Thanks for bringing this to the show, Michelle. And guys, don't forget to hit the follow button on All Ears English to let All Ears English drop into your queue 5 days a week and join our community. All right.
Alright, thanks, Lindsay, for
Mhm.
talking about this with me today, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.